In our Twitch stream last week, we started talking about small joys. Little things in our day that give us a little spark, a glimmer. I find these small joys so important. Life can be hard sometimes, right? Work, bills, relationships, health, things that just take our mental space, maybe cause some tension or anxiety for ourselves. So my community has this thing where we share small joys. These aren't things that are going to resolve life's problems by any means, but they just make life nicer. When we sort of got into the topic, a question came up. What do you do if you don't have any small joys? What do you do? A couple of years ago, I found out about a concept called the window of tolerance. Kind of a way of framing how life things can affect our moods, our ability to handle how highly or how little stressful things can affect us, and how well we tolerate them, for lack of a better term. I've genuinely had moments before where I've absolutely crumbled from something small like a plate, like dropping a plate on the ground, or maybe dropping my phone, or maybe an error, maybe an error on my computer, and I just go, oh, it's just one thing too many, and I've had other moments, like bigger life moments have happened, and I've sort of had an easier time handling those moments. I mean, there's a whole thing I could go into here about the tools I've developed, and I could get into that more one day. But I wanted to touch briefly on why I've come to love small joys in each day. These are things that despite the, stresses, anxieties, despite the gestures broadly, things that happen, they can widen our ability to, again, for lack of a better term, tolerate life. For me, community has become a big joy. I've gotten quite busy over the last couple of years, and I'm always looking at ways to take care of my mind and energy during busy periods. And at a certain point, a certain type of community has become a massive joy for me. People with a certain, that are just certain types of people that are able to, certain types of community that are able to feed into my life, that are able to fill my cup, maybe with certain types of kindness, or certain ways that our ways of interacting with each other, fill each other's cups and that kind of thing. Another big one is downtime, just having downtime, like allowing myself, and this is not always easy, but allowing myself to take a moment, maybe to sit on a couch and watch, crappy TV, or read a book, play on a disconnected handheld device like a Nintendo DS, and just be away from the computer where I'm going to want to do some sort of productive task. My most recent moment of, oh yes, this brings joy, is a recent morning. I hadn't slept much. I was logging on for work, and I was just not here for the day. I was just not here for the day to happen. But I made a coffee like I normally do. I made a coffee. I put some oat milk in, and I put some ice cubes in. It was a hot day, as I normally would. And that first sip of that refreshing coffee, that brought me joy. That gave me even just a few seconds of a "this is nice" moment. I mean, you're watching this video, you're probably wondering, Rivi, what does this have to do with sunflowers? And honestly, there was another recent day where I was just burning out quite a bit. I was just burning out. I was just quite tired. And so I took the day and I looked after myself, you know. The week had been quite difficult. It was we had a heat wave in my area. You know, lack of sleep was happening, things like that. And so I took a moment and I painted a sunflower. And for me, again, like a massive thing has been doing my watercolor paintings, the paintings that you see here or you see, you know, sort of on Twitch. Discovering painting as a passion is like a massive joy. It gives me these small moments of, if I'm, you know, sort of stressed or overwhelmed or anything like that, I can just sit down and it's something that sort of grounds me quite a bit. So when the question came up, what if you can't think of any small joys? This has kind of sat with me as something I wanted to talk about a bit more directly. Because there was a time where I couldn't answer the question either, honestly. When I've been asked once, what helps relax me? I had no idea. I had no idea, honestly. But my list has developed over time. Little random things. The sound of waves. Guys, I'm about to list like the most random things. Like, do you know what I mean? But like, the sound of waves. Walking through a path of bright green trees. Iced coffees. A playlist of comfort songs. Things that just genuinely a few years ago, my list was nothing, right? Like, there was a few years ago, I was like, I don't know. I don't know. But here's the thing. Small joys. Self-care things. There's probably some intersection there. Whatever we want to call it. Here's why it's become so special for me. Is when you get a new phone, what's the first thing you do when you get a new phone? You put a case on it, right? So that when you, especially if you're like me, inevitably drop that phone, the protective case is there and it helps reduce the impact. In thinking about all this, I realized my small joys are like a phone case for my feels. My feels might get dropped. You know, my window of tolerance might get dropped. Whatever, my ability to handle life moments might get dropped. And that's not an if, that's a when. But having a proverbial phone case around my feels will help when they do get dropped. Help minimize the impact, help among stress or exhaustion or overstimulation, give me a this is nice moment. And so my recommendation, and let me just stress right now, I'm not a mental health care professional. I'm honestly just I'm a Twitch streamer who paints. Like, that's all I am. And I'm a Twitch streamer who paints, who cares about people, and sort of cares about self-care and things like that. But my recommendation, honestly, is based on just my own experience of looking after myself, is maybe develop a list. If you have a moment when you're doing something, like having a coffee, like maybe you're doing Lego or you're reading a book or anything like that, listening to a song, and you have that this is nice moment, take note of it. Even if maybe in a journal or anything like that, take note of it. Because honestly, when you have your sort of, you know, when life gives you the stress, you might not be able to think of the, you know, of the small joys, right? But if you have that list, if you have those things in mind where you're like, I recall that this is something that gives me a moment, even just like a few seconds of peace. Having that list can be part of your phone case. That list can be your phone case that you can go back to, and that can help lessen the impact when, you know, when life drops you, you know. So that's all it is. I don't honestly have an idea of how to finish this video. I'm gonna be honest, but it's just something that that I've been thinking about, particularly over the last week, that I just wanted to sort of touch on. But yeah, and honestly, if you guys have any like small joys, or if you guys have anything that brings you even just a moment, even just a few seconds, like 30 seconds of like, hey, this is nice, hey, this makes, you know, this makes the things easier, feel free to let me know. If you drop a comment, I'd love to read it. Genuinely, I'm gonna read, if there is any, I'd love to read it. Even if it's just specific to today or this week, if you know, built a nice Lego set, or if you had a nice moment with, you know, with a loved one, or if you did like a craft, if you're a crochet person, you crocheted something, you were like, this is nice, like, do you know, anything like that, if you're coloring in, anything like that, feel free to let me know about it. I would love to read it, honestly. But in the meantime, thank you for enjoying my sunflower, and just know that you are, you know, you are loved and you are valuable, and I hope you have a nice moment of joy today.